Alrighty, guys. How is everybody? How is everybody doing here? Welcome in to Slaughterhouse Sports. We are live here Saturday night, or it's not Saturday. I wish it were Saturday. The days just get tossed in between. The actual date is Wednesday, and it's early Wednesday. It's the 19th of February. And we are going to talk about Matty P, Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia gets hired by the Ohio State Buckeyes as a defensive coordinator. I'm going to tell you guys all the thoughts that I have about Matty P. We got the shoe in the background. I'll tell you, to go to the Horseshoe, that would be a bucket list item for your guy right here, Spencer G, to go to the shoe, and it might even happen. Sources are saying it might be happening this upcoming year. So Matt Patricia takes over for Jimmy Knowles. All right. So Matt Patricia takes over for Jim Knowles. Very interesting hire. So Ryan Day goes into the NFL ranks to pretty much hire here. He pretty much goes to the NFL ranks here to hire a defensive coordinator. And Matt Patricia, he was with the New England Patriots. He is a rocket scientist. He always has the pencil in the ear. That's what Matt Patricia kind of represents on the surface. And he was very smart. He was a mad scientist with the Patriots for many, many years. And then he got his shot in Detroit with Bob Quinn. And I'm going to go ahead and I have my laptop here. I'm going to pull up his record. Spoiler alert. It went rather awful in Detroit. So Matt Patricia as a head football coach, he was terrible in Detroit. All right, that is, he would even tell you he was not very good. Now, I don't even know actually who his I think he had actually Matthew Stafford as his quarterback. He had poor defensive players like Jeff Okudah was not a very good draft pick. Who was a cornerback over there. They tried to incorporate Snacks Harrison. They went out there. They tried to even get, I think Darius Slay was still there. Kenny Golladay got traded to the New York Giants. So, that was a long time ago. Should we say, water under the bridge? So Matt Patricia was a rock star of Bill Belichick, but then Matt Patricia went back to the New England Patriots, the tail end of Brady, Mac Jones, and then Bill Belichick said, hey, Matt, I know you coached offensive line, 20 years ago with Jeff Stoutland. Why don't you try to go and become an offensive coordinator? Why don't you become an offensive guy, an OC? And that move was crazy on the surface, and only Bill Belichick could have even pulled off that move, and it did not work. All right? And then, most concerningly about Matt Patricia is in Philadelphia, Matt Patricia and Sean Desai were kind of these co-defensive coordinators last year, and it was Jalen Carter's rookie year. It was Jordan Davis's second year, I believe, in the National Football League. Now, I know that they were working with James Bradbury. They didn't have Cooper DeJean. They didn't have Zach Bond on the roster. They also didn't have Quinyon Mitchell, who's turned into one of the better cornerbacks already as a rookie, as an outside cornerback. So they didn't have some of these talented pieces, and I know that the offense with Brian Johnson was also a mess. However, that defense got sliced and diced by Baker Mayfield. It got sliced and diced by Drew Lock. The locker room was lost. So with Matt Patricia, in Detroit, the players didn't really like Matt Patricia. There was kind of a mutiny there, in Detroit. And Dan Campbell came in, and he was the savior. And then in New England, the offensive staff, I don't believe that, Mac Jones and that offense really vibed with Patricia either. So as Patricia, the thing about Matt Patricia is, are his best days behind him, or are his best days going to be in front of him? That is the question that you have to analyze, because look at Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio in Miami, he flamed out. In Denver as a head coach with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, he was abysmal. And I believed that this year going into Nick Sirianni make it or break it year in Philadelphia, I said that this hire was an old and kind of retread hire. I didn't like the hire at all. But guess what? Vic Fangio reinvented himself, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was brilliant on this stage. You also look at Michigan, the main rival of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Conventional wisdom would tell you NFL coach like WINK Martindale, older NFL coach, stubborn kind of NFL coach, he's not going to like hitting the road in recruiting. How's he going to relate to your college kids, to your quote-unquote college kids? Well, guess what? That defense, and especially the second part of the year, that defense was brilliant. And Ryan Day even saw that brilliance firsthand. So this is a very interesting kind of swing right here. You have Brian Hartline, who I believe tried to call plays a couple of years ago. That's kind of a safer internal hire. That has some risk too. And the Matt Patricia hire has a ton of risk. I think it could either be very, very good. I also don't think that Matt Patricia, this is the thing about Matt. I don't know if a college AD is going to want to hire him. And then in the NFL, I don't know if anybody's going to want to hire them either. Now, for Chip Kelly, I seriously, I guess that the Raiders offered Chip so much money, but why not continue to live in Columbus and run it back as an offensive coordinator? For Jim Knowles, I believe that Jim Knowles also got in a fight, I guess, with Larry Johnson Sr. there. And he wanted to move, I guess, to Penn State. I guess he grew up in Philly and loved Penn State, and Penn State gave him a pay raise. Still, you have Caleb Downs. You have the best recruiting outfit in the country. You just won a natty. So I have no idea why these two guys, Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles, who are both older coordinators, I have no idea why they would leave for jobs that are not head coaching jobs. Why would Chip ever leave a situation where you have five-star quarterbacks? You have Sand, you have Tavian St. Clair, and I think that St. Clair is going to be incredible. Why would you leave that situation for a very tumultuous situation with the Raiders? I guess it comes down to money, but guess what? You're moving your family again, and you can get fired again. So maybe Chip wants to be an NFL head coach. Now, I think Patricia is younger than Chip Kelly. What does Patricia want to do if this goes swimmingly well? But guys like Matt Patricia, he hasn't been a defensive coordinator in college. He hasn't really worked around the college kids. Now, I will say this about Matt Patricia, all right? I'm going to be very transparent here with Matt Patricia. I think it's a risky hire for these reasons. I also believe that Matt Patricia is a brilliant play caller, and he doesn't have to hit the road as much. So I'm just laying out what sides you might like in Matt Patricia and the other sides which are concerning. The concerning parts are maybe that in Detroit and in New England, when the New England guys leave Belichick, their styles, like Joe Judge's style on the New York Giants, was a cutthroat style that really did not work with players. It didn't assist players, and when you don't kind of coddle players, you can run into so many problems. I mean, look at a lot of coaches that didn't exactly get along with players, and it burned out, and it burned in a way that the coaches were just so done with the style. Even, I guess we could say, Arizona State, they tried to roll with an NFL model, and it didn't really pan out. But Matt Patricia, I will tell you this, guys, in full transparency, is that I got the opportunity to interview Matt Patricia at Radio Row, and I might even post this interview later. It was kind of just talking to Matt about, coordinating defenses, about his role. He was in the media at the time. This was before the Ohio State news. This was kind of last week in New Orleans, about Thursday. He was wearing a hat, and he was so unassuming, and Matt Patricia gave the best interview that I've had all week. He couldn't have been kinder with his time. He couldn't have been a nicer guy. He couldn't have came across more different than what a lot of players in Detroit were saying about him. So my interaction with Matt Patricia, I'm grateful that he took the time to come on Slaughterhouse and Rover Sports, and he couldn't have been nicer. And it's possible, for Matt Patricia to continue to evolve. He'll tell you he's a lifelong learner, and there's a lot of players that love Matt Patricia. There's some who don't like Matt Patricia, but I'm telling you, Matt couldn't have been a nicer and more caring person. And I think that, again, he evolves. So I think that with Ryan Day, with some of the talent at Ohio State, again, the expectations there cannot be higher. Jim Knowles did a great job. They're just coming off of a national championship where their defense was spectacular. They're losing Sawyer. They're losing Simon. They're losing JTT. They're losing all of these stud senior-laden players. They're losing Burke. They're losing a lot of players. All right. But I will tell you this, that Matt Patricia can scheme up defense. Matt Patricia is going to know more as a defensive coordinator than, let's see, than probably, Minnesota's, going with a, brand really new offensive coordinator. Will Stein's a smart coordinator. There's good coordinators, I will say, in the Big Ten Conference. But is Rutgers going to out-scheme Matt Patricia? Is Maryland going to out-scheme Matt Patricia? Is even Michigan's offensive, is Chip Lindsey going to go out there and out-scheme Matt Patricia? Only the best, like maybe only Will Stein and Andy Kotelnicki. Those are maybe going to be the only guys that even have that even have chances to maybe out-scheme Matt. And also, you're going to have 9 coaches on the road recruiting for Matt Patricia and for this defense. All right. And I think that the guy seemed like a person that you could really work with. He showed with Bill Belichick that he's willing to work with coaches and he'll stay in one spot. So to tell you the truth, I really, really like this hire. I think that you also get smart, guys under Matt Patricia. And guess what? If it does, it either is a home run and it works, or if it doesn't work, it's going to be a 1 year. It's going to be a 1 year trial anyway. That's kind of how I see it. So with a big upside, and you're mostly utilizing him for a play caller, and at the college level, it theoretically could be easier to scheme, and you're going to have better personnel, and you get to pick your personnel, where in Detroit it was harder to pick personnel. In New England, towards the back stages after Tom Brady, it was harder to pick personnel. So I think that it really can work, and I'm rooting for Patricia to kind of reinvent himself. I want him to be that quote-unquote player's coach because I think he has the capability to do it. I think that the guy's really bright, but also I spoke to Matt Patricia for dang near 10, 15 minutes, and the guy couldn't have been a better guy. It was just, again, like we didn't have a huge production company behind us when we were down at the Super Bowl. It wasn't ESPN or CBS. Again, he wasn't rolling with agents, and he wasn't rolling with like a 10-person group. That was with him. It was just Matt Patricia. And again, he left a lasting impact. So I'm rooting for Matt Patricia, and I think it can work out. Okay. Is it possible that, again, that this situation does not work out? Is it possible that this situation could fail? It is. All right. Because he hasn't called plays at the college level. The last couple of stops have been tough spots in the NFL and hasn't worked that well. Is it possible that he doesn't get along with maybe 19-year-olds that are 5 stars that are a little bit, that have been told they're great their whole lives? Absolutely. But this is a unique opportunity, so I'm excited to see what will transpire here with Matt Patricia and Ohio State. It should be one of the more fascinating headlines to cover in college football.